What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and I am here again at this local comic show that I go to usually every month. I haven't been here for a couple months. It is pouring rain outside right now, so hopefully don't get too wet. Hopefully comics don't get wet, anything like that, but it seems like it is still packed here. The parking lot here is packed, so I imagine it's pretty busy inside. Let's go see if we can find any books. All right, so we are out of the show. It is still raining, but I did pick up a big stack of books here. Got 7 books. I don't remember exactly how much I spent, maybe around 500 bucks, something like that. Bunch of cool stuff going all the way from Golden Age up through Bronze. So real excited to go over this. So we will go back to the house and talk about these books.
2,000 years later.
All right, we are back from the show, ready to go over these 7 books here. I have checked through all of them. All of them are complete. I've done my grading on them. Thought it would be interesting in this video to talk about what I paid, kind of like overall for all the books, and then what I think they're worth. Go over pricing, that kind of stuff. So kind of to start things off, what I paid for everything at the show. I paid $460, cost $3 to get into the show. So I had that $3 expense. I always keep track of all that stuff for the business expenses. Then $460 total to pick up these 7 books. This first one here, I've never actually owned a copy of this book before, but I've seen it going for some really big numbers lately, especially in high grade. This one is not a high grade copy. This is Batman number 156. And so this is this classic cover with Batman carrying, a supposedly dead Robin, but he, clearly is not. Since this is Batman 156, I think it's from, this is like a 1966 or somewhere around that time frame. So there were a lot of issues of Batman after that. But this one I had graded at a 3.0, and I think the value of this book is about $100. If we take a look at GPA here, I've got Batman 156 pulled up. We go down to that 3.0 price range. The last sale for a graded copy was $100, but there was also a sale in May for $125 for a 2.5, a 3.5 for $150. So at this type of grade range, I don't think there's really a lot of value in getting it graded. I think you can generally get around the same dollar amount, like same sale price in the lower grade as you would if it was graded. So this isn't a book that I would get graded. I'm going to keep it as is. Like I said, I've got it about a 3.0 and I valued around $100. Now the next one, I thought this was another cool one to pick up, a lower grade copy. I have never owned one of these either. This is Teen Titans number 1. This is not the first appearance of the Teen Titans. This is the Silver Age Teen Titans, where you've got Aqualad down here, Kid Flash, Robin, and then Wonder Girl down in the corner. And you can see all their names down there as well. They're fighting the Beast God. You might think that this was Beast Boy, but it is not. It looks like a future Beast Boy. Maybe that's where they came up with the idea to put him in the Teen Titans. But yeah, number 1, 1966. This is a low grade copy. I'll show you. It's interesting. They marked it on there. They said there were basically, I think they called them pinholes, but it actually looks like somebody just maybe really didn't like the Teen Titans. And because I would say they are stab holes. There's like these little like knife marks. They look like the tip of a knife all throughout the book, and it goes through the book. You can see them on the interior as well. Like you see all those little holes there. So yes, it is a lower grade copy. I have this one as a 2 to a 2.5. It is complete. I believe it's fully attached. I think I checked that. But it has these holes all through it. It's, it's got some wear and all that kind of thing. But I have this one as a $60 book, which still, for Teen Titans number 1 from 1966, still feels like it's pretty cheap. So yeah, Teen Titans number 1, I have it, like I said, as a 2 to a 2.5. I think it's about a $60 book. Again, we'll cut over to GPA here. And at that type of price point, this is the type of book where I'm really not going to get this book graded. So if we go Teen Titans number 1, 1966, and we go down to the lower grades here, we've got a 2 to a 2.5, 174 to 110, but then this 3.0 at 80, a 4.0 at 113, a 4.5 at 110. I mean, I think maybe I could get a little more than 60, maybe up into the 70 range, but I did check this one on eBay, and you look for comps. And so that's one of the other things you can do is you look for what your comparables are in the raw state. And so that's why I think like 60 is around what I would expect to be able to get for this book. I talked about this with grading before, but this is what I'm talking about, where if it cost me $50 to get this book graded and I can sell it for 110, it's not really adding much value if I'm going to get this graded and I'm selling it for 110 versus selling it raw for 60. And so for me, this is the type of book that I would just keep raw and sell that way. All right, now the next book. This is a Bronze Age book that it's really surprising how cheap this book is. I mean, in any grade, but especially in lower grade. This is Marvel Spotlight #6. This is the second appearance of Ghost Rider. Really cool cover. And this one I had as a 3.5. It's got, some wear and that kind of thing. Let's see if we can get it to show up on screen. Some wear along the spine. There were some, I think it had some water damage. I think that was one of the big things. There was some water damage on here, and you could tell like on the back that this book had gotten wet. So I have it as a 3.5. And this book, just $60. I mean, when you think about how much the first appearance costs, Marvel Spotlight #5, this is less than 10% of that cost. Now, usually what I see with a first appearance versus a second appearance is that it is often about 10% of the value. If we go and look this one up, I mean, if we take a look at, let's take a look at Marvel Spotlight #5 first, and then just kind of get an idea where that one goes for. So that Marvel Spotlight #5, it's a black cover, it takes more damage, all that kind of thing. But still, if we go down to a 3.5, $735, a 4.0, 810, a 3.0, 600. I mean, I'd say somewhere around $700 right now for a 3.5 of Marvel Spotlight #5. Then let's go to issue #6. And so for issue #6, the second appearance, go down again to that same 3.5. They're barely even graded. I mean, $100, $114. And this is one of those same things where I think that based on eBay raw sales, it's around a $60 book. That's around what I could get for this book. So getting that book graded just isn't worth it. There isn't the value there. And I mean, look at this. Like, look at the price compression on this book from the lower grades to the high grades. A 4.5 going for 102, a 5.5 going for 100, a 6.5 going for 103, a 7.0 for 117. You have almost the exact same price from a 7.0 all the way down to a 4.5, and sold in the same month, November. I mean, that's just crazy to me. And even going up to an 8.5, 200. 9.2 sold this year for $228. I mean, like, it doesn't even, you have to get to a 9.6, $743 to get to the value of a 3.5 for Marvel Spotlight #5 for the first appearance. So if you like high grade books and you'd rather, have a high grade book than a low grade first appearance, Marvel Spotlight #6 is a great option. I mean, look at that, $743 for a 9.6. That's wild. I mean, let's see what that did maybe in the comic boom. You can see it hit $1,600 during that comic boom period. But even before that, I mean, look at 2019, $89. 2018, $250 to $400. I mean, that's wild. It is crazy how cheap the second appearance of Ghost Rider is. So just something to think about. I'm not saying that it's some book that's going to spike or anything like that. It's surprising how cheap that book is. All right, now on to the next one. This book was a nice surprise when I got it back and started doing the grading on it. This is Rangers Comics #39. I'm almost certain this is a Joe Doolin cover. He did a lot of the covers from these runs, and it's considered kind of like a classic cover. You've got the attractive woman, the good girl art, which Joe Doolin did a lot of those. And then you also have these like tentacles from whatever octopus or squid or something like that is grabbing her, and the guy diving down to save her with this knife. Now, this book, it has a spine roll and a little bit of a split down on the bottom here. So you can see that spine roll here. And if I took it out, you could really see how it's flayed out on the back. I'll show you just. So if it's something you're ever wondering about what types of things could be addressed, like this is definitely one that I am going to be getting pressed. I'm going to get this one pressed. I'm going to get this one graded. And so, I mean, like, this is a nice book. Like, it's got a little indentation kind of along the spine. There's a few little tears at the staples. This is a really nice book. The main flaw is that split on the bottom that's about an inch. It's about an inch for the split. And then on the back cover, you've got this here where you can see the spine roll. So I'll have that spine roll fixed, have everything all, squared up and everything like that. And this one, after I get that addressed, I think it's a 4.5 to a 5. It might, I wouldn't be shocked if it did maybe even a little better than that. That spine roll, or not the spine roll, the split at the bottom is really the limiting flaw with this book. But I think it is safely a 4.5 to a 5, and graded, that's like a $350 book. I think right now, raw, this book is probably at least $250, maybe $300. But I think it's the type of book that might sell a little easier graded. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm really wanting to do that. Plus, because of that spine roll, I want to get that spine roll fixed. So this is Rangers number 39. So I'm going to pull up the GPA here, and we'll take a look at the pricing for this one. So if we go down to a 4.5 to a 5.5, 4.5 had a $335 sale earlier this year. 5.5 had a $384 sale. I don't see it getting up to like a 6.5 or anything, but I think that 4.5 into the 5.0 range, I said, I think graded, it's a $350 book. I mean, that covers a lot of my expense from this lot of books that I picked up. I mean, I paid $460 for that one. I'd have to add another $50 or so for pressing and grading and all of that. But that's definitely one that was a nice surprise, great presenting copy, and I think would really benefit from getting pressed and cleaned and then graded. So I was excited to get that one. Pretty happy about that pickup. All right, next one. This is a cool pre-code horror cover. This is a Bill Everett cover. This is Menace number 2. And you've got this kind of like this ghoulish looking vampire type character on the front. One of my favorite covers, well, probably my favorite cover from the run, not one of my favorite covers. My favorite cover from the run is Menace number 5. Menace number 5 is this one that says zombie on the front, and it's this zombie shooting up out of the ground. I went after one at the recent Comic Connect auction, but I did not win. I thought I was going to get it. I thought I had a good shot, but I did not win that one. But this is a low grade copy. It is a completely split spine, so I'm not going to take it out. So it's somewhere in the 1 to the 1.5 range. Generally, about the max you're going to get with a complete split spine is a 1.5. I've seen 1/8s, and I'm talking CGC grades. I've seen higher grades from CBCS. This is one of the areas where I've seen CBCS diverge from CGC, where they will give higher grades to complete fully split spine books. But with CGC, generally a 1 to 1.5 is about what you're going to get with this. But still, colors are great, decent presenting copy. I think this one is about a $175 book in this state. I'm not going to get this one graded. I'm going to leave this one as is. I just think it's a nice looking book in the Mylar and everything. And yeah, cool book from a good run. And I'll show you Menace number 5, just because I think that's such a cool cover. The Menace run has a few cool covers in it. I think it's number 8 maybe is another one that I really like. I did have a copy of that I got graded a little while ago, maybe earlier this year. But Menace number 5, here's a 5.0, went for $3,600. Can't remember what the one in Comic Connect was. I think it might have been a 6. But here's Menace number 5. This one has some fading on the red. You can get, I'll show you another picture one so you can see the really deep red, but it's got this cool kind of greenish yellow title. It's got the black background, which I really like. This one is also you can see here is also a Bill Everett cover. It's from Atlas, but there's something about this cover that just looks really cool to me. I like this one. But let's see here. Let's go to one that maybe has a little, we'll go to an 8.5. I'm guessing this is either top of census or close to it. And this one should have some nice colors. Yeah, so here's one where you can see you don't have that color fade. You get that really deep red, that just looks like a neon yellowish green against that black background. Really, really cool cover. But yeah, $15,600 in 2021 for an 8.5. Let's see. This at the time, at least, this was tied with one other book as the top of census. So it kind of shows you how tough it is to get some of these books in this type of grade. But Yeah, it's a cool run. It's one that I would recommend checking out. You can get some more affordable books from that run. They aren't all that expensive. Menace number 5 is definitely the most expensive, probably followed by issue number 1. But there are some other ones in there that are some great covers that I would definitely recommend. But yeah, Menace number 2, 1 to 1.5, I think it's about $175 book. All right. I'll save that one for last because I want to show the interior. Then I did pick up one Bronze Age horror book. I kind of rag on Bronze Age horror every once in a while. I do think that it's too hot right now. I think it is definitely a little too hot right now. I think people are going a little crazy for it. Um, I don't really agree with the concept of, rare and high grade type thing, because I mean, it's a Bronze Age book. They're all relatively rare and high grade. I mean, House of Secrets 92, there's not a ton of them, in high grade either. But so, I mean, take that for what it's worth. Just my opinion on it. But I still like to pick up the books occasionally. This was Witching Hour number 13. And here we go. It's a Neil Adams cover. I just thought it was a pretty cool cover, and I thought it was a pretty decent grade. I had this one as an 8.0. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe it could do a little bit better than that, but I think at least an 8.0 with this book. And the other thing I thought was cool was it had this little spider skull character on the front there. And if you're familiar with one of the most in demand LB Cole pre-code horror books, Startling Terror Tales number 11. And it also has this character with this spider that has a human skull. And so that's one where I thought it was a cool cover, had that. I'm guessing that that's a throwback to that Golden Age character, and just one that I decided to pick up. Not a super valuable book. I'd value it at around $65 in grade. And we'll take a look at that. Let's see, Witching Hour number 13. And just to kind of get an idea of some of the pricing on it, I might get this one graded. I'm considering it's in my maybe list, because you can see, like, in the 8.0 to 7.0 range, maybe not worth it, $70 to $90, but the 9.0 jumps up to 240, 9.4, 228. So the value might be there, especially with the demand that's out there right now. But that's the type of thing where I feel like the market is probably getting a little flooded with the Bronze Age horror right now. I see it all the time on claim sales. So I'm just be cautious with it, but it might be worthwhile for me to get this one graded. It is a clean book. It had a few things going on it that I wasn't sure if it could get much above an 8.0. But let's take a look at Startling Terror Tales number 11. If you haven't seen that one, and I'll show you what I mean by this spider skull character. He's also on the cover of Suspense Comics number 8. That's actually the first time you see him. But here's Startling Terror Tales number 11. This book has just gone nuts for the last few sales. Here you go. So you've got the spider body with the human skull head. This is the black variant. There's another one where this background here behind Terror is blue. The black one is much less common. It tends to go for more money. But just a cool book that maybe you don't see every day. I've had a few copies of it, but mine have generally been lower grade. I think the highest grade I had was a 4.0. But I've had a couple others that were like 1.5s, 1.8s, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's Startling Terror Tales number 11, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about here with that spider skull character. All right, so now for the last one, and I wanted to show the interior of this book too, and that's why I'm saving it for last, because I saw this one panel on the inside, and I was just like, that's wild. That's the type of stuff why you realize why maybe people were a little upset with some of these books being sold to kids. So this is Rangers Comics number 33. I had issue 39. This one's 33. I'm again almost certain this is a Joe Doolin cover. Again, underwater, shark cover, good girl art, the swimsuit and all that kind of stuff. This one I have at $125. I have it as a 1.5 to a 2. The cover is detached. You can see it's torn at this top staple here. The person had added a second staple here to reattach it. And then there's another one down here that's detached. I actually removed that. Well, I guess a third staple. I removed that staple, so it's not there anymore. But it's still attached at the centerfold. It's just not attached at the cover anymore. But there's this story on the inside that I just felt like when I was flipping through, doing the page count and that kind of stuff, like I'm always looking at what's on the inside, and I look for cool splash pages and all that. And here's the back cover, pretty cool, like electric football back cover ad, really bright cover for this. A lot of times these books don't have, I feel like don't have that nice of a back cover, but let's see here. All right, so here's this story where it's like some corrupt guy became mayor and he's trying to off someone. But like, so they're dragging this guy to throw him in this. They said it's a lime pit, and his like henchman. Oh, there we go. His henchman is telling him, he's like, I'm done with this. I don't want to murder people anymore. And so the guy who's been voted mayor is like, well, then I'm going to take care of you. And he throws him into this pit. And it's like, it's just this guy whose like skin is melting off of him in that center panel. And I just like, I came across that one and I'm just like, man, that is wild. Cause I think this is maybe 1947. Let's see. Yeah, this is 1947. So you don't really probably expect that when you're looking at the cover there, but there's all kinds of stories that are in these. These aren't single story books or anything. I think this is a 52 page, including the covers. So 52 page book. So you get 48 interior pages. So there's a lot of different stories that are in these. But yeah, that's the type of thing, when you're checking Golden Age books, a lot of them, actually most of them, are not the page count that you're used to today, where it's 36 pages including the covers, where 8 to center and then 8 to the back. These ones are 12 to center and then 12 to the back plus the covers. But yeah, this was Rangers Comics number 33, 1.5 to a 2, have it at $125 book. And I just thought that was a pretty cool page on the interior for 1947 being sold to kids. I always get a kick out of that kind of stuff. But now when we add all of these together, I have my total value for these books as $835. So spent $460. I think I got $835 in value out of it. Spent about 2.5 hours at the show, but I'd say at least an hour of it I was just talking to people. That's one of the things that's fun for me about going to these shows, is just talking to people about different comics, that kind of thing. We were talking about the dealer I got this from, he was telling me about where he got this collection, a cool story about that collection, just all kinds of stuff like that. That's what's fun about going out and actually going to these shows. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, saw some cool stuff. If you'd like to see more videos like this, I've got more videos over here. Got the subscription button right here, and I will see you in the next video.